You are tuned in to Stewart Spotlight Podcast live with your host, William Stewart Jr. With topics of everyday life. Tune in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Today's guest, Larry Shows. A family man. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode. Now your host, William Stewart Jr. Good morning and welcome to Stewart Spotlight Podcast. My name is William Stewart Jr. and I am your host this morning. I'm bringing you this live broadcast this morning because we had some technical difficulties last week with my guest, Larry Shows. So we're going to do a live this Wednesday morning at 10:15 and going to repost it again for Friday's episode. But once again, my name is William Stewart Jr. and thank you for joining me this morning. I'm hoping everyone having a good week, midweek so far, and it seems as though that the House and the Senate has passed the thing against Trump. So hopefully he'll sign it and the files will be released so the public will be able to hear it. I'm hoping everyone having a wonderful week thus far. Today is Wednesday, November the 19th. Next week is Thanksgiving, so be prepared to get those turkeys together, dressing and all the trimmings along with all the Thanksgiving, and make sure your family comes and enjoy themselves. But you know I'm going to need your assistance, and I'm going to need your assistance by doing this. I need your support. I need you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and make sure you turn on your notifications. So therefore, every time you hear this, you know that Stewart Spotlight Podcast is live. Yes, that's right. Make sure you turn on your notifications. So therefore, every time you hear the notification bell, you know that we are live on your devices, such as your laptop, cell phone, or desktop computers. My message for this week, which was last week, but as I stated, my friend Bud always give me a message for the week, and I'm going to use the same message that he gave me last week, which was very interesting. It says something to the fact that, it says, be careful who you trust. The knife in your back often come from the hands you once held. Now let that marinate in your soul and let that digest a little bit. So I'm not going to prolong this episode any longer. I'm just going to bring my guest on after this one break, and we're going to have Larry Shows to talk about a family man. We'll be right back after this break. Yes, that's right. Make sure you go to my website, stewartspotlight.com, and see some of the items that we have that may be
of your interests. As I stated before, I'm not going to prolong this because my guest has other things, and I'm so grateful that he took the time out of his busy schedule to come back on to retake this episode, and you can hear him laughing in the background. But without further ado, I'm just going to bring my guest on, Mr. Larry Sholes. Welcome to the show, Larry. How are you?
I am fantastic. Greetings to all God's people out there. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope this gives you something to get you through your day.
I really appreciate that. Larry, I want to thank you once again for coming back on Stewart Spotlight Podcast to retake this because we did have some difficulties last week with the sounds. I don't know what happened, but I can hear myself, but we couldn't hear you, so they automatically just took you off. So thank you for coming back on. Once again, Larry is a family man. Let's just go straight into it, Larry, because I know you're really busy and you don't have time for me right
Not a
now.
problem, not a problem. We got to make time for things that are important, and
Right.
people are important, and that's what this is about.
I appreciate that. Larry, you've been married twice, five children, 3 boys, 2 girls, a professional career logistics, and who is truly a family man. So how many siblings do you have, Larry?
I have one sibling. I have a younger brother,
Okay.
and we are 16 years apart.
So who's the baby and who's the oldest?
I'm definitely the oldest.
Okay, how about mom and dad?
Mom and dad is no longer with us, unfortunately, as of a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And my mom is actually in Arizona currently with my little brother,
Oh, great.
spending some time. Yeah.
Okay, so how often do you get to spend some time with them?
We don't see each other a lot because of geography, I should say, and life always gets in the way, as we say. But he comes in town. I'm gonna make some trips out there to Arizona, especially now that my mom is out there with him.
Okay.
After my stepfather passed, my mom moved to Arizona to spend more time with him and his kids.
Okay.
He's a new father.
Oh, congratulations. So now, who was the biggest influence in your life?
The biggest influence in my life as a male was my grandfather,
Oh,
my mom's dad.
okay. And what impact did he influence you in?
He taught me what it is to be a responsible male in the society that we dwell in.
Oh,
And I say dwell in because as men, we always are searching for our spot, our niche, where we belong, where we can function at the highest level, and where we can be productive and successful.
okay. Oh,
My grandfather taught me how to balance a checkbook. He taught me how to cook. He taught me how to stand up for myself. And that was really important because at the time my grandfather came into my life, I was graduating 8th grade. I was 14 years old. I didn't have a real father figure in my life. My biological father passed away when I was very young. I never really got to have a relationship with him.
all right.
And I was basically raised up until that point by my mother, her 2 sisters, and my grandmother.
So now I just heard you say your grandfather who taught you how to cook. So do you think you're really a good cook, or you just get by with things?
Well, in the beginning, I was just getting by with things, but I'm pretty good now.
Okay, no
You know,
problem.
on the eve of my 56th birthday, I'm pretty good now. So
Okay, all right. So now, how do you
I've had
have?
some,
Go ahead.
I've had some time to learn.
Or burn up things as well. So now, how do you handle challenging moments as you plan life?
How I handle those moments is usually I find some place to make my own. I find some place private. I pray on it. I meditate on it. I think it through, and I try to work out every possible scenario.
Okay.
You know, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this is said, I'm going to respond this way.
Mhm.
So I think we have to be critical thinkers in the world we live in today.
Now, also, you're a minister as well, right?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a minister, or how long you been an ordained minister?
Since 2019.
Really?
Yes.
I see that I didn't know. I just found that out recently.
Yeah.
So,
I am anything but traditional. The world changed.
yes, yes.
People change.
Eh,
So you have to change with that in order to be effective. Sometimes what worked yesterday is not going to work today.
right. That's so true.
So you have to be able to identify with others, and others most certainly have to be able to identify you. You have to reach them where you are and where they are, and you have to make that road one.
So you have to adapt to change as changes progress.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, how has failure or disappointment shaped your success today?
Well, you want to learn from your failures, right? You don't want to dwell in them. How they shape me is I kind of adopted something, and it's failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So if you don't have a plan, and a lot of people go willy nilly by the seat of their pants, they don't have a plan. They know what they want to do, but they don't really have a plan on how to get it done.
Mm,
So when adversity strikes and they fail, they think they just failed and that's the end of it.
mm, mm.
They don't learn from whatever happened in order to succeed in where they failed at.
Okay.
So you have to have a plan.
Have you ever experienced, can you share an example of failure and how you recovered from it?
Well, we can go back to when I was a kid playing sports.
Okay.
Um, when you're playing sports, you want to do well. You want to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing.
True.
And sometimes there's somebody doing it better than you.
True.
Sometimes they're winning and you're losing. So I can give you an example. I was playing basketball and I was never the tallest kid. Um, so we're playing and I'm amongst the trees. It seemed like everybody on the court was taller than me. I was the shortest person. And, I like to go to the hole with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the hole 3 straight times that I got the ball and my shot got blocked.
Because obviously it was
And
taller than you, right?
they were taller than me,
Right.
but I had to figure it out. I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, wait a minute. I had to remember and forget that my shot got blocked 3 times. I had to remember, you can't shoot. You can't shoot. So why do you continue to go to the basket where their strength is when you can shoot?
Mm.
So that's what I did. I backed up and I started
Yeah,
shooting and I started hitting, and they had to come to me. So when they came to me, that's when I went around them, and then I could actually accomplish what I wanted to do, was get to the basket.
Wow. So you learn from that lesson. Okay, I'm not going to drive to the basket. I'm just going to shoot from a distance.
You got to have another plan, right?
You always have to have a plan.
I have to have another plan.
Right.
So you have to have an initial plan, yes. But then if that doesn't work, you have to have another plan, because if you got a second plan, that means the first plan, what? It failed.
Fail. That's so true.
So failure's got to either define you or it's going to motivate you to do something different.
To keep you going. Okay. When life gets hard for you, what motivates you to continue to move forward?
My children, that's my inspiration. That's what I get up in the morning for. That's what I do it all for. That's what I endure it all for. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. I heard something from Bob Marley a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said was, you're going to hurt people, and people are going to hurt you in this life, which means you're going to suffer.
Mm. Mm.
You have to figure out in your life who's worth suffering for. So when I became a father, it changed me. It changed my entire outlook on life. So I figured out that my children were the ones that were worth suffering for.
Wow.
So that's what I do. And that's what I tap into every day when I get up and think about what needs to be accomplished today.
Okay.
And that's my motivating factor. That's my battery. That's the juice. You know, I'm the squeeze, but that's the juice.
So now, what's the ages of your children?
My sons first are 29, 25. My youngest son, he'll be 20 2 days after Christmas. And then my daughters are 17 and 15. My youngest daughter is 15. She will be turning 16 on the 25th
Now,
of this month.
I believe you said your daughter is a mirror of yourself.
Lord help me. So my oldest daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, Isis, is a senior in high school. She's getting ready to graduate and go to college. And she is, of all my children, she's the most like me. It wasn't really supposed to happen that way. I didn't think any female should ever have my brain in her head, but she does.
Okay.
And it's a whole different kind of challenge.
So now, where does little Larry fall into this equation?
So Junior is really his own person. He doesn't care about how things look or what's thought of or what's said. He's really his own person. And he kind of got that from me. And that's kind of like the defining thing that makes me so proud of him, because I know he's not going to be knocked off his rocker. He's not going to be distracted by things that get you offset. You know, he is really strong-willed. And he is the type of person that has a thick skin. And that's what you need in this world. You need a thick skin. Everything's not going to be peaches and cream.
I remember when little Larry was little Larry. little
Yeah, when
Larry.
when he was splashing around in your
my
pool.
right. Yes, that's when I remember little Larry. Let's go towards your marriage. Let's talk about your marriage a little bit. When you look back at your first marriage, what lesson carried on to the second?
What lesson carried is growth and change. People change. And the changing part is okay. The thing is the growth part. And what I learned is not everybody that you feel that you're compatible with, you can grow with. You know, we mature at different speeds, at different levels, at different times. We mature. But the thing about a marriage is you have to continue to grow together. If one person's growing and the other person's staying where they are, it's not going to work.
It's not balancing out. Okay.
And you may want it more than anything, but if you can't grow together, you won't last together. And I took that from my first marriage into my second marriage.
Okay.
I realized that everybody can't go with you. There's some places you're going to have to go and need to go, and everybody can't go. They're not either equipped or not willing.
Okay. Now, how long you been married now?
Now it's been about to be 14 years.
14 years. So
in December.
Before Christmas or after Christmas?
Before.
Oh, before Christmas.
The 21st.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, right at Christmas.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
So now, how do you know when it's worth fighting for, or it's time to just let go?
You know when you have to let go when it changes you and it doesn't change you for the better.
So it changes you for the worse?
When it changes you, it makes you not who you are. If you have a plan to accomplish something and you know you have to be a certain person to do that, when that relationship inhibits you from changing, adjusting, and being who you need to be, it's time to let it go. When it starts destroying everything that you've built, and it kind of makes you feel like what I've learned is not benefiting me. then it's not adding to you, it's subtracting. When you find yourself being subtracted from, that's when it's time. And that's a very hard decision to make.
So would you say the second time around is harder, easier, or wiser? And give us an example.
Hopefully you're wiser the second time around.
Okay.
And the second time around should be easier. If it's not, something's wrong.
Because you learned from the first time.
Yes. And it's not going to be the same scenarios and situations either.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're going to recognize that there's a problem and that what you need to do to help get through that problem. You can't fix everything on your own. But guess what? That's why it's a marriage. You weren't meant to do that alone.
Right. Yeah. So now if you can sum up the word love in one word, what word would you describe it as?
Sacrifice.
Explain why you say sacrifice.
Well, when you love someone, you make sacrifices. It's not a give and get thing. Everybody talks about, you get what you give or give more than you get. It's about sacrifice. When you love somebody, you are willing to give up something for the benefit of that individual. That's love. It's just like our Lord and Savior died on the cross. He made the greatest sacrifice of all time. That's love. There's no bigger example of love than that. So it's got to be sacrifice. What are you willing to do for that other person? What are you willing to do? And what's willing to be done for you?
But that takes
That's
two,
sacrifice.
but that takes both parties.
It takes two, but it starts with you. You can only control your side of it. So if you're not willing to sacrifice, you can't expect sacrifice to be made for you.
But suppose if you sacrifice and the other person is not sacrificing.
You don't do it because the other person's sacrificing. That's not love. That's compromise.
Too. I got you on that one. All right. I'll follow you on that one. I got you on that one. All right.
The thing about sacrifice, though, the thing about sacrifice is to be selfless. It's to be selfless.
Right.
So you're not doing it for yourself.
Yeah, right.
You're doing it for someone else. That's why it's called sacrifice. It's because you're giving up something.
Okay. Now, do you think love changed with age or with experience?
Both. So we don't know how much time we have in this life.
Yeah.
So you can't base something off time because you don't know what time you're working with.
Okay.
So when you say age, everybody doesn't mature. Some people, everybody ages, but not everybody matures. So love can't necessarily be based on age. If you live 20 years and somebody else lives 40 years, did they love more than you?
Now that's the age difference in two individuals.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if you are within the same margin at the same age, how would you adjust?
If you got two people
The same age?
that's the same age, they may love differently.
Okay.
What your impression of love is might be different from theirs.
Okay.
So I just talked about sacrifice, right? Another person can feel like they love to the greatest degree and they don't sacrifice anything. You might disagree with that. So does it mean they love more than you? Here's the thing about amount. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Is the quality of your love great?
And the quality of your life.
And without love, you're going to have a lesser quality of life. Everybody wants to be loved, right? Everybody wants to feel that love. But how do you give that love to others? Might be the reason why you don't get that love from others, which brings us back to sacrifice. If somebody sees you're willing to sacrifice it all for them, man, they can't help but be touched by that, inspired by that. Love is really, we can call it emotion, yes, but love is actually an inspiration when you think about it.
Okay. We can go on and on about love, but let's let's talk about. So, how do you and your spouse handle disagreement and parenting?
How do we handle disagreements when it comes to parenting?
Hmm.
So, whatever the issue is with the kid at that time, we as parents get together and talk about it. We talk about the issue.
Okay.
How do you think we should handle it? What seems to be the biggest problem? And based on what the situation is, we're going to decide which one of us is going to be good cop or bad cop.
So, who's most
Every
who are you? Mostly the good cop or the bad cop?
Mostly I'm the bad cop, and I don't have a problem with that. You know, I'm okay with the child being angry with me.
Hmm.
But if it's a disciplinary thing, it's really necessary, right? Um, we have seen, and everybody's seen that video on social media where this woman and her kids are getting attacked by other students at a school. They're bullying the kids, and then they start physically beating on the mother and the kids. And it's like, wow, um, that's a real undisciplined situation, because what are those kids that are beating on the mother and the other kids? Where are they getting this mindset from? Are they being disciplined at home? Are they being taught there's consequences and responsibilities for their actions?
Hmm.
Are they being shown and taught what's appropriate behavior and what's not? Like, you respect your elders. That's where our generation was brought up. You
Hmm.
respect your elders. Not, when I say your elders, I don't mean your elders that are in your family. I mean people of a certain age, period. There's a respect there.
Hmm.
And you could tell that those children had no respect.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to get the respect of a child through discipline. So if there's a problem going on with your kids and you as parents are trying to figure out how to deal with that problem or that issue, somebody's got to be a disciplinarian. Somebody's got to be that soft touch, and someone has to be that harsh touch. Because if you don't have a balance of something, just picture this as a seesaw. If you don't have a balance, someone's going to be way too high,
Hmm.
or they're going to be way too low.
Right.
And if somebody's too high, you can't reach them. If somebody's too low, you can't reach them.
Hmm.
And that's what it's all about, being able to reach that child on a certain level.
So now, do you think children nowadays are getting more out of hand because of social media, peer pressure, or just in general?
We can use all those as reasons and devices, but the better question is, why don't you, as a parent, have control of those situations?
Well, let's
They
talk.
can't do they can't do what we don't allow them to do.
Let's
Now,
talk
we
about.
could take away the social media, we could take away all those things, but no influence should be bigger than your influence. You can't make the social media and all those other things a bad thing. If you are the biggest influence on that child, then the social medias and all those other things will balance themselves out, because while they indulge in those other things like social media, that little voice has to be in their ear and in their mind of you saying, hey, that's not appropriate. Hey, that's not what we do. Hey, that's not who you are.
See, I'm glad you brought that up because I was just about to say. Now, is that due to because of uh, a parent is having children at a younger age and don't have the wisdom and knowledge or experience, and it's just like they just let them do what they want to do?
Sure, that's absolutely a factor, but here it is. It starts with parenting. Who's the influencer? If the influencer is social media, their peers, what they see on TV or whatever it is, if that's the biggest influence, then that's going to win. You have to be the biggest influence in your child's life. So I'll give you an example. I said this to my wife some years ago. This is where I realized personally for myself that the worm turned, as they say.
Uh-huh.
William, when you and I were kids and we were in school, our teachers were older than our parents. If you look at the scenario now, we as parents are older than our kids' teachers. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there's no respect. There's no parental guidance in the schools anymore. I'll give you an example. When we were kids and we went outside and we were doing something that we shouldn't be doing and a neighbor saw it happen, that neighbor grabbed you by the coattails, pulled you up and said, hey, you don't do that. They took you to your parent. They told your parent what you did and you got in trouble. And if you came from a household like mine, your mother got you or whoever was at home got you. And then they told your parents when they got home and your parents got you.
Yeah, that's true.
So you might get 3 or 4 whoopings or 3 or 4 punishments for doing one thing.
Right.
You didn't want to do that anymore.
Right.
Because you knew as a child there was consequences for your actions. You were held accountable for your actions.
Well,
we don't have that. We don't have that accountability anymore. These teachers are young. A lot of them don't even have kids. So what do they know of curtailing a child's behavior when they're not parents themselves?
And times times has changed because you can't even whip a child like you used to in the past, because now they want to call 911 because you're punishing your own child. Okay.
I've heard that a lot over the years, that you can't whoop your child, that you can't this. I'm a big acronym guy. I make up acronyms all the time to remind myself of things. And I took one thing in particular, the word fear, FEAR. And fear stands for forget everything and run.
Oh.
So
okay.
It's not always the actual spanking. It's the fear of getting the spanking that kept us from doing things.
Okay.
So when you say we can't spank these kids anymore because they're going to call DCFS or whatever, you and I both remember I brought you into this world, I'll take you out.
Yeah, right.
Now, how many times did you actually die? It was the fear of that statement that kept you from doing things. So forget everything and run the other direction. You ran from that behavior. You ran from that activity.
Right.
Which means you ran from that parent because of consequence.
Now, I just wrote down, forget everything and run. I'm going to use that fear. I'm going to use that one day or another, but I'm going to use that. I like that. But yes, I totally agree with you because teachers nowadays are much younger, don't have any kids, and how could you discipline something that you never had? And then nowadays, your grandmother, the kids' grandmothers is in the 30s and the mothers is in the 20s. So it's not balanced now because you're not getting the wisdom from the grandmother that we used to have back in the days.
Yes, when that happened in our generation, the grandmother said, man, this is ridiculous. Babies having babies is how they rephrased it.
Right.
And it's true. It's true. You got 30-something-year-old grandparents, people becoming grandparents. Well, there was a disconnect, right?
Yes.
Those people didn't grow up and mature before they were thrust into a parental role that they were not ready for. Yeah, we got a lot of people that aren't prepared to be parents out here. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
It starts in the household, right? You got a lot of single parent households out here more than ever before. But here's the thing, right? There's a lack of control because there's a lack of structure. Because the people in the positions of authority are not taking the authority. They're not handling the responsibility that comes along with being a parent. That is the most important job you will ever have, you will ever do. If your work, your employment is inhibiting you from parenting, then you need to get your priorities straight.
Well, so Larry, let's move on. What's the weirdest thing you ever done to make peace at home? The weirdest thing.
The weirdest thing I ever did was I put everybody out the house.
You put
House was in chaos. I opened the front door. I told everybody to leave. Go outside, talk amongst yourselves, figure it out, but you can't come back in here the same way you left.
You literally put
Yes.
everybody out the house.
Everybody. Open the front door. Everybody got to leave.
Okay. And how long did they come to their senses?
How long did it take for them to come to their senses? About 20 minutes.
Was it cold?
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I mean, the elements were an asset, but it was the principle.
Okay.
Certain things need to be enforced. Your house, your home is your sanctuary, your domicile, your peaceful place. If you guys can't bond and connect at home, you're not going to bond and connect in the world. So it's a cold world out there, literally and figuratively.
Right.
It's a cold world out there.
Yes.
So sometimes you need to be shown the cold to embrace the warmth.
Okay. When you think of this, when you think of being the head of the household, what does that personally means to you?
It doesn't have to be your fault, but it's your responsibility. It's about responsibility. You're responsible for what does or doesn't happen with that family.
Okay.
So what I always try to press with everybody is, think about this for a second, William. Is whatever the problem or issue or whatever you're falling out or disagreeing or arguing or fighting about, is that thing bigger than who you are to each other?
Okay.
The answer is always no. But if you feel like the answer isn't no, then you have a problem.
So who's more?
Because your values are not accurate.
So who's more dramatic, your spouse or your kids?
When you say more dramatic, well, the kids are more dramatic. It's more of them. So you got more different personalities and everything else. I'll give you another acronym, William. It's called EGO. EGO. When you're in ego, you are edging God out.
Okay.
God doesn't have an ego. God doesn't have a selfless entity within him. He's not selfish at all. So there's no ego. You have to take the ego out of it. If you think you're right just because you want to be right and you think that your way is the best way and the only way, that's your ego talking. That's not God talking. The God in you is greater than the you in the world, right? Should be.
Yes.
And if it's not, that's a problem with your value system.
Larry, I got this last question before we take a little break and come and finishing up. What's the biggest challenge experience in your marriage?
The biggest challenge is time. You have to have and put in time. We take for granted that person that's with us. We got married, we said our vows, we made our promises to ourselves and to God, and we tend to take it for granted. You have to do things together. The same things that brought you together are the same things that are going to keep you together. People talk about date nights and doing all these things. That's all great, right? But how much do you actually sit down and talk? How much do you actually sit down and communicate what you need from that other person? People assume that, hey, but I'm here. But are you here in what capacity? Are you here when I need you? Are you here the way I need you? And if you don't talk about it, you never get those answers. You have assumptions. Everybody thinks I'm here. That's enough. I tell you I love you. That's enough. Everybody thinks what they think is what the other person needs or wants. You should know for certain. And you're not going to know if you don't communicate. So when they say communication is the biggest part of a marriage, it is. It is. If you can't communicate it, you can't achieve it.
Okay. So would you consider the top three: communication, money, sex? Or is it,
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I say, how would you categorize the marriage? Communication, money, financial, or sex?
I think everything plays a role in it, but I talked about value system. You have to agree on what of those things are the most important. Which one do you need and when do you need it? If you have all three, but you don't have them at the right time, not effective. If you're valuing one of those things more than the other person is valuing that thing, it's not going to work.
Okay. Larry, hold that thought. We're going to take a small break, and we're going to come back with Larry Shows, a family man. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is William Stewart Jr. I'm the host of Stewart Spotlight Podcast. How would you like to be a guest on my show? If you have gone through something, came out of something, and just want to share it, we would love for you to be a guest to discuss any topic related to your situation. Your insight of experience, wisdom, knowledge would be invaluable to our viewers. Who knows? By sharing could help someone who may gone through what you came out of. Sharing is caring. So give us a call, 888-552-1944, so we can schedule you on the next Stewart Spotlight Podcast.
And we are back with my guest, Larry Shows. Larry, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show. And we left off on a very interesting topic, but we can go on, and I know time is a short period right now, but we're going to have to have you back on to do a part 2 of the Family Man. But I have a few more questions to ask. What's the funniest parenting moment you have ever had? Not putting the kids out.
The funniest parenting moment.
Right.
Wow. The funniest parenting moment might be with one of my sons. My son Bryce, for a time, wanted to play baseball. He wanted to play baseball. He was really into baseball, and I think he felt like he wanted to be a professional baseball player. So I am at one of his games, and he's sitting on the bench. He's not in the game, and he's, supposed to have the team spirit, and he's supposed to be into the game and watching everything. And at one point, I'm locked in on the game. I'm watching the baseball game, and I look over to the bench, and he's asleep. He didn't dozed off. He didn't checked out. So, I don't want to be one of those type of parents that wants to tell the coach what to do. I'm going to let the coach the kids. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not going to have any input, but it's a time and a place to do things. So I get up off the bleachers and I walk around to the side, and I'm standing behind the fence where the team is sitting, And I'm pushing on the fence like, Bryce, Bryce, wake up. Why are you asleep? Why are you asleep? And Bryce wakes up and he looks around and, like he doesn't even know where he is. And then he, I guess he snaps out of it and then he starts paying attention. So I asked him after the game was over, I said, well, why did you fall asleep? Were you tired? Were you sleepy? Were you bored? You just checked out? What was the problem? And he told me, he said, I was thinking about a story you told me about my Uncle Willie. And I dozed off. And here's the funny moment. So my little brother is 16 years younger than me. And this was a time where he was about 4 or 5 years old. And it was like the first day of school. And all the kids have registered. And this particular teacher had all the kids fill out a form for the household. Mm-hmm. And on the form, it had where you put your name, you put your address and everything. So my little brother, he's filling out the form, and the teacher got all the forms and collected them. And the teacher got to his and started laughing so much that the teacher reached out to us, the parent, to tell us what the child filled out.
That, right.
So when I say us, the parents, I really meant my mother because, it was my little brother. So when I got home from school, because I was in high school at the time, my mother said, I got to show you what your little brother did. I said, what did he do, Mom? She said, it's the funniest thing ever. I said, what did he do, Mom? So on the form, he wrote out name, William, last name, Lofton. And when he got down to, there's a box that asks you sex. And he wrote in big letters, no. So the teacher fell out. My mom fell out. She couldn't wait to tell me when I got home. And she called my little brother into the room and she said, Willie, you got to explain this to me. What's this thing about sex? You put no and you wrote it in big letters like you were, irritated that you even asked that question. He said, yeah, I filled it out, my name, my phone number, my address. And they asked me about sex. And I said, no, because I haven't had any.
Okay.
So I've told my children, I've told my children this story. Okay. So apparently Bryce was thinking about that because he was so bored that he wasn't in the game.
Right.
He was thinking about that story and he dozed off.
After saying no, okay, might as well go to sleep then.
Yeah. Okay. So I asked him, I said, so you were thinking about that story? I said, why were you thinking about that story at that time? Were you thinking about sex? And he was like, Dad, I haven't had it either.
Okay, Larry. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there at all. I'm going to leave that subject alone, all right? So let's move right along. So how do you balance parent, husband, and yourself? And how do you balance it all out?
So remember I talked about sacrifice before?
Yes, I understand.
So it's hard to balance it. It's not easy. There is no clear-cut formula or solution to that. Mm-hmm. You just have to prioritize in that moment, in that situation, what's more important.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to it, but I can't do it all simultaneously. No one can.
Okay.
Right? So you have to prioritize what's priority in that moment.
At that particular time. Gotcha. So now, with having 5 kids, they all have 5 adults. They all have 5 different personalities. How do you deal with it?
That's fun.
That's fun?
That's fun.
Okay.
Listen, in this world we live in, there's a shock factor. There's an entertainment factor. Everybody wants to be entertained, right? When you have 5 children, you have your own built-in entertainment. There is nothing like having all of them together underneath the same roof. It is theater. It is fantastic. You get the conversations, you get the disagreements, you get the bonding, whether we're playing a game or we're watching a movie or sports. You got opinions, you got, hey, what's happened in your day? What's going on with you? You got every type of entertainment. They talk about reality TV. Half of that stage ain't even real. When you have 5 kids and they're all under the same roof, that is reality right there. And it is entertaining. It is funny to see them go at it. It is funny to hear them talk about things that bother them or things that they're happy with. It's entertainment. It's wonderful. Balancing 5 children, it's like you instill as a parent, again, I said this earlier, there is nothing bigger than who you are to each other. So when they all get together and we're all together sharing things, either what's great, what stinks, whatever it is, it's entertaining. So it's fun. You have to make it fun. Like, it's never going to be a situation where there is not something you can focus on when you have 5 kids. There's always something to do, something to focus on.
Especially with 5 different personalities, and it's ranging from the age of 29 to what's the youngest?
15, about to be 16 next week.
That's a big gap. That's a lot of.
And it's hilarious. You have boys and you have girls, so you get it from all spectrums. And let me tell you, being a girl dad now, it is the hardest thing ever. It is so much easier to raise boys than it is girls.
Yeah.
It's with girls, it's 24/7, never ends. Never ends. It's always something.
So so are they daddy's girls?
I don't know. I think it's a daddy's girl when it's situationally convenient for the daughter. When it's convenient to be daddy's girl, they're gonna be daddy's girls.
So are you more protective over, obvious, you're more protective over the girls than the guys, the boys?
Absolutely, because they're girls.
Right, and I respect that. But
absolutely. And that's why it's so tough and more difficult being a girl dad than it is a boy dad. And I'll tell you, man, let me tell you the greatest thing my grandfather taught me. My grandfather didn't have any sons. My mom's dad, who was the biggest influence on me. He had 4 daughters. All of them have had kids, all boys, of which I'm the oldest. I don't have grandfathers anymore. All my uncles are passed. I'm the oldest male in the family. My grandfather told me one day, he said, the difference, son, because he called me son because I was like the closest thing he was ever going to have to a son. He said, son, let me tell you the difference between having boys and girls. When you have a boy, you have to worry about that one ding-a-ling out there. When you have a girl, you have to worry about all the ding-a-lings out there.
Since you put it like that. Okay, Larry. You couldn't put it no plainer than that, all right? Okay.
I used to spend weekends with my grandfather. My grandfather taught me how to balance a checkbook. He taught me how to cook. He took me down to the bank when I was a teenager and he added me onto his bank account. So I could write checks. I could take money out the bank. I could do all that. We share the same last name. I'm Lawrence Shores. My dad was Lawrence. His dad was Lawrence. And my mom's dad, who I'm speaking of, his name was also Lawrence. So what did you think I was going to be?
A Lawrence.
Right? So let me tell you, he molded and shaped how I look at a lot of things as a man. And he didn't have any sons. So he put a lot of time and a lot of effort into me because it was something that he never had, that he always wanted. So I knew when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a father. I didn't rush into doing it. but I knew it was something that I wanted, which is why I had the names of all my kids picked out before they were born. I named every one of my children, first and middle names, every one of them.
Wow.
When I had my 3 sons, I never thought I was ever going to have a girl. I never thought I was going to have a girl. I didn't think I could make a girl. I got 3 sons. And then ISIS came along. Changed the game. Changed the game completely. So now, the beautiful thing of it is my 2 daughters have 3 older brothers. They have 3 extensions of me. And all of the boys have taken on the mantle as protectors for their sisters. So if they're raised to treat women a certain kind of way, it's got to come from me.
I totally agree.
And the problem is, we as a society don't know how to treat each other.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
No one knows their role, let alone their responsibility to that role. And that's the problem we got.
Today's life. Larry, how do you relax? How do you relax on it? Just me time?
I'll take a walk. I'll take a drive. Or I'll go do something that I haven't done in a while that I enjoy. I'll go shoot pool. I'll go play ping pong. I'll go play darts. Or I'll just call up a friend that I haven't talked to in a while and get caught up.
Yes.
Sometimes you can get lost in someone else's life. And it'll make you appreciate yours that much better. So if you have some time to yourself, think about somebody you haven't talked to in a while and reach out to them.
And that's very hard nowadays because individuals is always thinking about themselves now.
We're in the me moment. We're in the me generation, and that's the problem.
That's so true. So Larry, give us some final words before we end, because I know you have things to do. And we're going to have to continue this on a part 2 whenever you have free time. But give us some encouraging words. Give us some wisdom of a family man.
It's kind of cliche, right? Family first, but it starts with family. If you can't control what's inside your household, how do you expect to have control outside in the world? So everybody needs to sit down with themselves alone in a moment and decide, what are you willing to sacrifice for your family? What are you willing to sacrifice? What is the most important thing to you? If it's not your family, then you need to reevaluate yourself.
And I totally agree with you on that, Larry. And once again, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. And I'm going to reach out to you to do a part 2, if you don't mind, because this is...
Absolutely. I'm sure your viewers are going to have questions that they want to bounce off of us. And I would love to do that. I would love to do a Q&A. I think everybody should call in, email you, text you, whatever questions they have, and they can, put those questions out there, and I will be glad to answer any of those questions.
I still have a lot of questions, but due to time constraints, it can go on and on. But if you have a question, give us a call at 888-552-1944, and we can have Larry back on to maybe do a round table to discuss some of the things that you had discussed previously. But once again, Larry, I want to thank you for coming on Stewart Spotlight Podcast, and I will be reaching back out to you to do a part 2 within a few weeks or within a month, and see if you're available so we can, continue this. And once again, I do apologize for last week, but it's always this week. How about that?
Hey, life happens. This has been an honor for me. It's my pleasure, and it'll be a pleasure to come back on.
Thank you, Larry. You enjoy the rest of your day, all right?
All right. God bless you all.
Likewise. And that was Larry Scholes, and a friend of mine who I've known for a while, and I want to thank him for coming on Stewart Spotlight Podcast. And once again, I want to apologize for last week, because we had some technical difficulties with the sounds. You were able to hear me, but you wasn't able to hear him, so I decided to retape it on a Wednesday morning, which is going to be aired for the rest of the duration, and I'll repost it on Friday the 21st, so therefore it could be scheduled as a regular program. As before we leave, you know, my favorite statement of the day is, where is it? Oh, here we go. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Keep that in mind. Until we meet next week, everyone have a nice, wonderful week and weekend, which is coming up. And be careful, be safe, be kind to one another. Until next week, God bless.